Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Moviecast episode 700. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gath, and Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Feinsod,
Yo.
and Tony Korkanakis.
Annyeong.
Yo.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to 700 Moviecast episodes. Well, podcast episodes. We're live on Twitch Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. Please join us for these live broadcasts. If you don't reach these broadcasts, all the content's over on YouTube, so you can go over there, subscribe. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. We appreciate that. That's helps us out. All right, so please hit subscribe. But guys, yeah. So welcome 700. So Mike had some great idea for this one. A little retrospective of our lives. 700. We'll go on the Gamecast as well. Talk about some influential games and who got us into that and thanking them and stuff like that. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. Let me just brighten my screen. Sorry, I'm on a brand new machine here. Let's talk about some I guess some not so good news, right? I mean, the box office. I think that's where we got to go first, right? So, I mean, not a good box office. Furiosa
in a long time.
Furiosa for the 3-day weekend did 26.3 million, just beating out Garfield.
Oof,
Furiosa obviously is
rough.
getting very good reviews, but the budget was like 168, if I remember right. So it will not make its money back. That's dead. That's dead. That dream is dead. So yeah, a very bad showing for the entire box office, though. Let's just not kill Furiosa because it's a good movie, but bad box office for this entire weekend, right? Is it the price of movies? Is that really what it is? It's just the cost?
I mean, we keep talking about this, but it's a combination of things. First of all, yeah, it's the price.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I think so.
Unless you're seeing matinee show, it's probably around $15 in your area, plus or minus a couple dollars,
It's
depending
24.
if you're rural or urban.
Yeah.
And that's the cost of
It's
these
24.
fucking subscription services. Like, why see one movie for 2-something hours where you get Netflix or Disney Plus or HBO Max or whatever the fuck, and you could watch practically unlimited content to your heart's desire, right? But second of all,
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like, again, like, especially if you have a family, it's ridiculously expensive. Because if you get, let's say you get a family of four goes out to see a movie at an average, let's say average $15 a ticket, that's cutting it low also. Because let's just
Yeah.
pretend we're getting a child discount or something. I mean, you're talking about
Yeah.
$60 just for the
Just
tickets.
yeah.
Then your kids are gonna want popcorn and a drink or something, and the popcorn and drink is gonna be like $20 for that. And then you're talking about $80 to see a movie, potentially
For 2 hours of
uh, uh,
entertainment.
yeah, 2 hours of entertainment, and it's gonna probably be less because you're probably going to see a kids film as well, right? Like, let's say Garfield, probably Garfield's like an hour and 40 minutes or something.
Hour 40. Yeah, hour 40.
So
Yeah.
it's like you're really gonna be spending $80 every weekend to see a movie? No, you gotta pick and choose when you can do that, and most likely it's gonna be like twice during the summer, maybe, if you're reasonable.
And I mean that's
Yeah.
the big problem. But I mean the second thing is during COVID again these companies movie companies Disney, Warner Brothers, etc. They train their consumers to be like, hey, everything we produce is going to come out on our streaming service because we need to promote our streaming services and get that popularity, advertisement, marketing, etc. And the turnaround time went from like 6 months to like 2, and sometimes even 1, or even 2 weeks later. As
what about 2 weeks? Yeah.
yeah, with free
Yeah.
The Fall Guy, and it's just like, well, you're making it even less. You're giving people less of a reason to even go to the movie. It's like now it's just you win by laziness. It's like, why should I go out to the fucking movie theaters? I can wait for 2 weeks. I can wait a month, and I could see it, come out at home and stream it, for a cheaper amount. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just
Mhm.
I think the cost thing is ridiculous, and
Also,
I
like,
remember even we talked about it like over the years. It's like, people just do not consume media the way they used to.
That's
And I
what the
remember-
difference is. It's also younger generation too, just in general.
Oh,
They
yeah,
don't want to sit
absolutely.
2.5
that's the
hours
thing,
through a movie.
They
Yeah.
don't, And I
Yeah.
read an article that even said, I'm pretty sure it was Netflix, where some TV show producers are being told like film it in a way that like you don't have to pay attention 100% of the time, and people could just like kind of like be on their phones multitasking and stuff like that. And I'm just like, what does that even mean, right? Like, oh, you don't need to pay attention
Yeah.
to the dialogue, or maybe there's less dialogue. Like, I don't know, but whatever. It's crazy. But yeah, people just do not go out to the movies. Entertainment budgets are a little bit tighter now that we're out of the COVID, and you know, money's a little
And we've
inflation.
trained people to wait for the digital release.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's it. It's more selective viewing too.
I mean, we're
nowadays.
getting like Fall Guy came out like 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
Like what the?
That's what I mean. It gets into like selective viewing. So there's certain movies you still always go to the theaters for, but now it's like very like selective. And you know,
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing is like the big
thanks
blockbuster
to-
type movies that people like don't want to wait, or it's like an experience, right? You're part of like the social experience where it's like
Mhm.
I want to see this day one with the crowd and stuff like that, which is like the big Marvel
Yeah.
superhero.
You want that
movies, whether
social-
Star Wars,
you want that social media
know,
presence. Yeah,
stuff
you want
like
the social
that.
media presence. Yeah, absolutely.
Barbenheimer, stuff like that. Top Gun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's it. So yeah, not a great weekend for these the box office, and
No,
we'll
it's gonna
see.
be a bad year.
We'll see. Gonna be a bad year. So yeah, I don't really have a lot for news this week, but let's get into what we've been up to. What we've been watching. Myself, I'm trying to think if I've seen anything of note this week, because I've been really busy on home improvement stuff. So I don't think I've seen much myself. Tony, anything for you? I'll see if I can think of anything.
I started something on Netflix. What the fuck was it? Because I was like, how could I possibly top Madam Web? Hold on, I'll pull up my phone.
Oh
Somebody
man,
else go.
if you want to,
Somebody else go. I'll look it up real time.
All right,
Mhm.
Corey, what have you been up to?
well, I did watch Furiosa in theaters. I actually
Corey,
got.
single person keeping the box office alive. Thank
Well, there's a story. I actually got a free ticket to the
Whoa.
movie.
Yeah,
So I
did
didn't
check
actually contribute to that at all.
Wow.
So like I just I was like, let me see what movie times are for Furiosa if I can make it. And then it popped up when I opened up the Sinopolis app. It said, "Hey, here's a free ticket, complimentary free ticket." I was like, "Okay, sure, I can make this work."
All right.
Like I don't remember doing anything to get that, so I just I was like, "All right, cool." So I went to see Furiosa, and initially, like Mad Max Fury Road, initially I was not a big fan of that film. But going back to that film, it is a very good film, and this film I think is even better. Like
Mm.
Chris Hemsworth is
I hear he
amazing.
nails it,
Is in this.
actually, yeah.
Is you don't even see him in this movie. Like you don't see Chris Hemsworth in this movie. You see his character Dementis or whatever his name is, and the Red Dementis, Black Dementis, whatever it is. He is just embodies that character, and you just want to go along with the ride with him. Like he is by far my favorite character in this film. Like he just steals the show every time he's on the screen.
That's
He has an amazing not it's yeah, at the end of the movie he has this like speech that he has, and it's just like it's so good. It's like one of those things that just like it's like, oh, I get it. Like I understand where you're coming from. You're the antagonist of this film, but I understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and I get it. And at the same time, this other character, Furiosa, the namesake of this movie, she's on this revenge path, and you really feel for her, like story, and the fact that this is a prequel and you know where it's going doesn't play into it at all because of how well like orchestrated everything is, how well the world building is, how you just like are just in this movie and just like in this world. And it's actually a lot less older Furiosa. There's like a lot of younger Furiosa as well in this, so it gives you time to kind of build up to who she becomes.
Hmm.
And in a lot of revenge films you have like I think Korean revenge films are the best, like Old Boy, right?
Oh,
like
yeah, you can't really top
so
Old Boy.
so like getting that like satisfaction, like that the satisfaction of that revenge, and a lot of times just so rushed, right? It's just like, oh, dead. And in this film I feel like they do a really good job of like building up to the point and then like really giving the audience like payoff, right? It's not just like, oh, that's it. It's like I felt like there's really good payoff for it. And we know in Fury Road she loses her arm, and the way they do it in this movie is like, oh, that's how they're gonna do it, and they're
So
like,
wait,
oh,
this is a prequel?
this is a prequel. Yeah.
Yeah, so like yeah, she's like a lot younger.
This
I'm
is a
so
prequel to Fury.
confused that they're like plan to do this? Like it's 9 years later in our time, but it's a prequel to
Mad Max. Yeah.
what's
Fury Road.
the timeline? What's the
I
first
actually
one
don't
happening?
know. Well, so like I know like the first three movies happen before Fury Road because he talks about how he used to be a cop or a road warrior, right?
Uh-huh.
In Fury Road. And then in this one, they don't really talk about what year it is or timeline, but like, um, but by the time you meet Furiosa and the time she like becomes who she is, I think is 15 years ish around that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
But yeah, so like again, it's a prequel, and prequels can like go very wrong, and in this film they do an amazing job. Like I did not feel like they were hamstrung at all. Like everything just fit, and I do think they changed some stuff because I believe there are some comics that are supposed to explain some backstory, but I think they just did their own thing here a little bit. I'm not sure, but it seemed like that. But yeah, I really liked the way that they led up to some of the things that we know about, and so it's just a visual spectacle too,
Hmm.
like the car chase sequences and attacks and battles and stuff, amazing. I think it's the best movie I've seen this year, and Chris Hemsworth, I hope he gets like an Oscar nomination in this. And what's crazy too is I think they said that Anya Taylor-Joy only had 30 lines of dialogue in this movie. There's
That's
a
yeah, I
lot.
remember reading that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
do
there's a
remember
lot
seeing that
of
online.
just
So
like show don't tell kind of stuff in this, which
that's what the
I would
director was
highly
going for.
recommend. See, this is again like we just talked about, but this is a movie that deserves to be seen in the theater because of how much of a like visual spectacle it is, and the stuff they do with the visuals. So highly recommend visual theater going experience. But again, if you can see for free, it makes it a lot easier to stomach.
Yeah.
But I do want to mention one more thing I'd watched, and this might be a candidate for you, Tony, for bad movies. But I watched Argyle, which
I've
is
heard,
one of them.
yeah. I know you're looking
Which
forward to that too. And I remember when
it
it
was
came
one
out.
of my most anticipated
Yeah, I
movies.
heard it was bad, yeah. Which is unfortunate. I
It's
think
just
you're an
the
Apple
it's
fan,
just
right?
all right. So it's the concept is it's a spy thriller, but like it's about an author who writes a
Yeah.
book about a
Like
spy.
things happen that
But it's like, and
she
then but then people think that she can solve these mysteries because she's got a great imagination or something. And so, like, oh, you're gonna, like, everything you've written has been, like, come true, essentially. And so she gets wrapped up in this, like, espionage plot. But then there's, like, this twist, and then there's a twist, and then there's a twist. And it's like, all right, after the first twist,
But not
the
anymore.
second twist was like, whatever. But then you have to do another one? Like, come on. Like, that was just stupid. And then, like, I don't think. Um, Dallas Howard, what's her name? Bryce Dallas Howard. I don't think she's very good in this at all.
Yeah.
It's not believable whatsoever. Sam Rockwell's great, but no, like she's the main character, and you don't believe her whatsoever. So she
Got
should
it.
not. She's a great director. Like I think she's doing great with the directing stuff.
She's
But
great with some Star Wars stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So
but
some
yeah.
of those best episodes were great.
But yeah, if you
I'm
wanna,
glad to
I
learn.
mean, it's not a good film. It's not. It's definitely not as bad as Madam Web. I would say. I
no.
think.
That
But
I mean that's probably automatically going to like I cannot see myself watching a movie that's worse than that. Like I've forgotten so much of it too. Like even
Yeah.
though it was that bad, I can't even like think of like a good bad joke or anything like that.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my god.
But yeah, it's such a disappointing film, Argyle, because the pedigree behind it and the people in it, you'd think that would
Yeah,
be
it's
much better.
unfortunate. Oh well, thanks Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for funding it.
All right, Tony, did you look up the?
Yeah, so it was Blood of Zeus season 2 came out. So this is
Oh,
the
nice.
animation team that also did Castlevania. And obviously it's about Greek mythology and stuff like that. It's an original story about one of Zeus's bastard sons and, you know, claiming rights to his father's legacy and stuff like that. But you get to see gods fight. You get to see giant monsters, right? Because that's always part of Greek mythology too and stuff like that. So season 1, it was a little rough around the edges. Didn't have the budget that, you know, like Castlevania did. I know a lot of people criticize the animation, but it's like, look, just because you have an artist or an art team that can do wonderful work, it's like, hey, we're gonna pay you $1 and give you like a week to do it. It's like, what do you expect us to do, right? Like the budget absolutely has to follow through with that. You know, you can't ask in order to be like, draw me Mona Lisa in one minute. It's like, that's not possible, right? You need to give them time and stuff like that. So I guess it was successful enough that they got season 2, which is good. And it's an interesting follow-up to the premise. You know, they left a couple plot lines open, and they're exploring that now. And for those of you that are a fan of Hades, playing that, you know, either previously or Hades 2 right now, it does focus around the character Hades trying to get his wife Persephone, you know, escape permanently and stuff like that. So that's the current plot
Similar
line.
story.
Pretty cool,
Yeah, similar story. Similar. So that's cool.
So similar.
Awesome.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar. All right, Mike, anything?
Just baseball.
Yeah, I'm just hate watching baseball. All right, let's see. We don't have much news today, but that's okay. I've got Knives Out 3 news, if you're interested in Knives Out stuff. So, Wake Up Dead Man is the title of the movie, a Knives Out mystery.
God, I
has
really
been
hope
announced.
they fucking come around and just call it like Benoit Blanc stories or something like that. Because like,
So he did say he was Ryan Johnson was previously lamenting the addition of the first film's title to Glass Onion. This is straight from Deadline quote, and expressed his hopes to change the subtitle to a Benoit Blanc mystery.
right, exactly.
So maybe he
Yeah.
just goes that way to it. Yeah. But yeah, because I get it. I mean, that might as well be called that. I mean, that's what they're going about with this stuff.
Mhm.
It comes out 2025, so on Netflix. So it's interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I never even watched the second one yet. I have to watch
What?
that. I heard it was
What
yeah.
the
I didn't have
the heck,
Netflix. I was off of Netflix for a while. Now
How long
now I've
have
got
you
it
had
again. I
Netflix
want it.
now?
It's not in the top of the list to watch. You know, I didn't think about it. I forgot it came out until I saw
Well,
this article.
Didn't you
I was
watch
like, oh,
that
crap.
garbage Roadhouse movie?
Yeah,
That's
it was on
Amazon, though.
But
That was
still,
on
you,
Amazon.
you took the time to watch that.
On my homepage of Amazon.
That's how they get
got
them.
me. Yeah, they
You
got
just
me
gotta
with this thing.
spotlight it. If you spotlight
Much-
it, they're gonna get you to watch
Out
it.
of
like
sight,
what
out of
Microsoft
mind,
is trying to do.
folks.
Much like what Microsoft's trying to do is send you a Hellblade 2 on the homepage
Yeah.
of Xboxes.
It's all they're
That's not-
advertising. They don't know how to advertise. So
Yeah, I know. No, but and then I have let's see what else I have. I have the news of a Vision series actually starting back up. So obviously we had last time we saw Vision on the MCU was in the you know on the Disney Plus show, but we don't know where it happened to him. We had the White Vision, so this is going to be a series for Disney Plus coming in 2026. Obviously, Paul Bettany's back. They tapped the Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas to bring back to bring him back Vision. So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know if I really
I
care.
liked Picard. I like Picard quite a bit. So I gets me excited for what this guy maybe if he worked. I don't know how much he, as an executive producer, how much did he have on the show? You know what I mean? Like, what did he really do on that show though? You know, that's what you don't know. So, we'll see. He's the showrunner for this time, so he's not executive producing it, and we'll see what he comes up with. You know. So
Yeah, I just don't think I care about
All right.
Vision story. Like, it feels weird that if it's coming out in 2026. I mean, what WandaVision was during the pandemic, right? So we're talking 2020.
20. I thought it was 2021 that came out.
2021.
Maybe it was.
Might have
Maybe,
been
maybe it
2021.
was 2020. Maybe it was, but
it was
yeah,
one of the first.
Yeah, it was the
like,
first
right?
one.
Yeah.
It was the first Marvel show.
it was the first launch.
So
Yeah.
like we're talking
So-
fucking. You're waiting 5 years to fucking. 2021. Yeah. So it'll be 5 years. Oh my god, I just aged instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking 5 years to figure out what happened to Vision after that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I'm not really a Vision fan. Like I liked him like for what he was, just kind of like a powerful person on the Avengers roster. But like, meh. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
I
right.
sort of,
We'll see.
once if we're sticking with what happened with Wanda, then what's Vision without Wanda?
Right. Exactly. It's like.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
what do they do? The fish out of water thing because it's some weird thing.
Well,
It's like,
that's
Well, he's
what
got to
Vision
find
or not
himself now
Vision?
because he doesn't know who he
Fuck
is.
him. Fuck robots.
Well, that's what Wanda's doing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was like on Twitter and people were like posting like comic book pages and something like that, and like somebody's describing Wanda. It's like all the Avengers, and Spider-Man goes like, "And she married a robot," and everybody like kind of just stares at him awkwardly, and he's like, "What? If I married a robot, you guys would never give me let me hear the end of it." I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
true."
All right. Let's get into our 700 episode celebration here. So we're gonna start it off. Mike, so what do we have here? What is your discussion
Well,
thing to laid out?
so this is the movie cast, so we'll save the gaming stuff,
Yeah,
which might be a little more obvious for that. But to me, I might talk about our, stuff that made us into the geeks that we are here. I would say, like our first favorite thing, maybe our
it's,
current favorite thing, a
I mean,
movie, comic book,
yeah,
and TV show. I would say,
yeah. I mean, for me,
So
I'll kick us off. Like movie most memorable thing, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the theaters. Like that, without a doubt, was like the
Mm.
in my mind. Like I don't like as a kid, I obviously went to the movies a lot. I remember going to the movies actually when it was a $1 movie over the summer, and we would just go like the whole day to different movies. But even then, we watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at that movie theater still because it was already out. It was already. I remember this vividly, and that movie was like just. I mean, obviously, I had watched the show already, but that's the most memorable movie for me watching it in the theaters because I saw it about 4 times as a kid. My parents brought me 4 times to see this movie, plus the dollar day. So I saw it 5 times. 5 times in the theaters, I saw that movie. And that's how impactful that movie was for me. And that I mean got me into theater and movies. Like I just that massive scale. Like for me at that age, I was thinking this is incredible what they're doing to bring the turtles to life on the screen. I loved it. Um, Obviously, go back now and see how campy it is, but even then, for me, it was just impactful. So that got me without a doubt. But Mike, go ahead. What were you thinking?
it's funny because my first movie that I saw in the theaters was Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Now I'm a little, because I was a
A
little
little
younger.
younger. Yeah, yeah.
um, so that was the first movie I ever saw, and the show was also the first like favorite show I had as a kid. 91. I'm like 4 years old, so I was like right in the middle, 4 and then 5. Yeah, right in the middle of Turtle Mania, like 90, 91. Like that was huge. So that was my identity at that time. Then actually my favorite became Turtles 3 after that, just because it was new, and I didn't know the difference at that age. Um,
At least you
uh,
admit it.
yeah. But yeah, no, those were the early movie things. That was just in the local sort of strip mall movie theater, which we don't really have anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Hackettstown Mall.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I
Yep.
watched the
That's
reissue
where I
of
saw
Star
Turtles.
Wars too
I
in
watched.
'97.
Yeah, I watched Back to the Future 2 there too. I remember that. Back to the Future
Wow.
2 and 3.
Mm.
I was so shocked when 3 came out so fast. For me, I was like, why did
Yeah.
this come out so fast? Because I remember coming out quick. But Tony, what about you?
Let's see. I mean, if we're talking actual like in movie experiences, then the first movie I ever saw was actually the Transformers '86 animated movie.
You saw? Oh, you did see that
I
in the
did.
theaters, or did you see?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I saw it in
Wow.
theaters. That was the first movie my dad took me to. And I mean, I barely remember like the actual experience, but obviously I remember the one thing that probably
Oh yeah,
hundreds of
everybody does.
thousands of kids that are now middle-aged adults saw and got traumatized by the death of Optimus Prime. We're just like,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, sorry, if you don't know already,
Oh,
Optimus
God.
Prime died. It's like a coin flip if he dies.
I mean, he
in
comes
a
back.
given series.
He's
Right,
back.
he always comes back. But it's like it was just so strange because like in the show, it's a Saturday morning cartoon show. It's like obviously designed to sell toys to kids and stuff like that, right? And you go to the movie theater and you watch the animated experience, which has a big budget and stuff like that, has a lot of celebrity guest voice actors and stuff like that. And right at the beginning of the show, you just see like the original cast and crew because Hasbro was like, "Oh, we need to sell new toys. How do we get kids to like not care about the old toys and characters, get them to buy new ones? We'll kill them off." So
Yeah,
at the
that was
beginning, it's just like a
crazy decision.
slaughter of fucking
Of all the
Autobots.
originals, yeah.
And it's so crazy because like in
Yeah.
the show, the cartoon, season 1, season 2, it's like most of like it's a coin flip of either like they shoot each other and they blatantly miss like stormtroopers, or like they get hit by a laser gun and they'll be like ow and like it'll like stun them or something like that, right? But like this is just like the Prowl, which is like
Boom.
the sheriff cop robot gets shot in the chest and you see his like orange smoke like come out of his eyes and mouth and it's just like
His soul like
What?
leaves his robot body.
yeah, like it's like what the fuck is going? This is the first like 10 minutes of the movie, and it's just like oh my god, and even like things are looking bad for the odds. Optimus shows up, Rex Megatron, he gets defeated, and then like he has this really like awful, like traumatizing death sequence where like all the Autobots are around him, and he's like giving a death speech, and then he just slowly fades to black, and like you're like, what? This is what death is like? Like as a kid, I didn't even have a concept of death, and I'm learning about it through a fucking animated movie in the movie theaters. Man, I just like trying to calm me down, be like, it's okay, he'll come back, and I'm like, I'm not like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm so confused and stuff like that. So that was probably my first theatrical experience. But other movies I know I watched as a kid that were pivotal were Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Turtles, obviously, Back to the Future. Anything that just had like cool visual effects and stuff like that, good plot line. Music was really catchy. You know, I mean, all those movies I listed have really strong themes and like theme songs and stuff like that. So
a couple notes, you already know what they are.
yeah, exactly. Like even though it's not like, you know, I remember the Go Ninja Go. Like I still like songs, kind of sing that in my head to this day. So
Yeah. Corey?
Yeah, no, the first movie experience that I remember was going to see Scrooged. With my parents took me to see Scrooge. They thought it was like a Christmas Carol movie, right, with Bill Murray. So it was going to be a comedy, and I just remember being like terrified in the theater of that, and just like hiding underneath the chairs of the theater when going to see that movie, because that was definitely not kid friendly whatsoever. But as far as movies that I wanted to see and like memorable movies in the theaters, obviously Batman '89, like, that was like one of the classics. Like that was a movie going experience that are like, you know, that was like, this is what movies are about. Like comic book movies coming to life, and great performances, and we talk about the music there. But it is funny how we remember like the traumatizing movie experiences as a kid, like easily, but then as we get older, obviously Jurassic Park was a huge one.
Oh yeah, that was
loved
great.
going like that was just,
I'm
like,
trying to
amazing.
think about like my teen, like older kid and like teen years, and just like Jurassic Park would be pretty good.
Yeah, and like the thing that I remember at gym, they used to sell movie passes for the summer, like booklets.
Yes.
Remember that? Like they used to have
yes, that's what stubs.
Like,
the stubs were like the stubs. Yeah,
so like you'd get like a little passport book thing, and then like you'd get either stamped or whatever it was, and you could see a movie every week, and it was amazing. Like they did that for the summer, and we got to see every big summer movie that came out. It's definitely not like that. Like that was like
built us
$20 or something like that. Like for the whole summer, you got to see a movie every weekend for like $20.
I remember seeing Independence Day.
Funny.
That was huge.
Yeah, it's funny you guys mentioned Jurassic Park, because I remember that was the first one where I was like 7 when that came out, and it was like, whose parents were cool enough to let them see that in theaters, and whose weren't. Mine weren't.
I will tell you that I couldn't. I did not see
anyway.
I could not. I was not allowed to see Batman in the theaters. 1989. I was 8. I was 8. I did get to watch it at home because I remember watching
it at home too. I don't remember seeing it
in theaters. I remember the VHS tape with the Diet Coke commercial in front of the movie. Yes, that stands out to me.
Remember going to like Blockbuster and just like the smell of the VHS tapes, and just going in that store and like
carpet cleaner,
the carpet,
exactly, and like you have to like, you got the box cover, but then you have to take the VHS from behind it, and then like you bring them. Oh, like that's crazy memories, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
Jaws
and then having to
traumatizing.
I mean, that was PG movie. Like,
and like that's the thing, I didn't see in theaters, but like I saw a PG
Jaws
on TV, like broadcast, because you know whatever.
Before PG-13.
Kids were like, you know, just you could see whatever, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, like I lived for a while. I lived like a mile from a movie theater, video rental place, and so like I would walk there. I would ride my bike at like, I remember like I was probably 9. My parents, go ahead. Ride to I would rent the movies. Yeah, I would grab a movie. So I mean, I remember getting a lot of sci-fi influences. So I would go into, you know, I don't think I actually watched Star Wars until '88. I was probably 7 or 8 years old is what I remember. It was probably when I watched Star Wars. But that was obviously one of the most impactful, influential. It still is this day. I mean, I'm wearing a Ahsoka shirt, and I mean, it's my wedding bands are Star Wars stuff. It's like I'm a huge Star Wars fan now, but that it's I think for me, like I got into sci-fi from all that stuff. Really, just sci-fi in general. Being able to go to the rental store to rent movies because like I said, we did spend a ton of time at the theaters, but a lot of it was at home watching this stuff. There's like TV shows too, like
It was
influential
wild
TV
back
shows.
in the day because like I remember seeing Terminator at home, again on
Yeah.
TV, like a probably what was it, Channel USA. USA was a channel, right, or something.
USA was a
USA,
channel, yeah.
you got it. Yeah,
I
USA.
want
They
to
showed
say
a lot of
it was
movies.
either that or Sci-Fi Channel.
Or UPN or something.
I saw like a
Yeah.
cut of it where they tone down a lot of the gratuitous violence and all that. And as a kid, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Mhm.
do you guys remember like in T2 the liquid Terminator? Like that blew my mind as a kid. I was
Oh,
like,
and the mom, like,
yeah.
like when he
Yeah.
stabs her with the milk carton
Yep.
he's drinking. Oh my gosh. But like,
Yeah.
so I had a friend who like his parents didn't care what he watched and stuff, so we would always go there and like we watched a bunch of like Chuck Norris movies back in the day, and like all those like crazy bad action films. Like we watched a bunch of those. Like they were all rated R, like because it was just, like PG and R at the time, and then PG-13 came in like late. I feel like it wasn't really a thing for a while. And so like
Wasn't
that
it
that line.
Raiders of the Lost Ark? I think was the first
It was
PG-13.
in the '90s somewhere. I thought it was the '90s, not in the
Or
'80s. PG-13.
It might have been Temple
I
of
don't
Doom
know.
if it was one of them.
It was an Indiana Jones movie, I think. where
It's
they
got to
had,
be
like,
Temple of Doom because Temple of Doom's dark. I mean, like that big
Is that
sequence
the
with the
heart
guy,
sequence?
with the guy takes the heart
Yeah,
out. And
that
he's,
was
like,
another
still beating.
traumatizing
I
experience
saw
where
that.
I was like,
I saw that on TV. That one
Yeah,
too.
and there's like that's another thing. It's like the TV cuts back then because I saw Aliens on TV
We're
with
big.
like commercial breaks, and you're like, what is happening? Like I'm
Wait,
like
what?
12 years old, and like what is going on? Not even like
Oh
probably
man.
10.
Yeah. So,
I realize in retrospect I saw a lot of these movies on TV when their sequels were coming out in theaters.
Mhm.
Like when Back to the Future 3 was out in theaters, they showed the first two. That's how I saw the first two on TV first. Or Batman, the first Batman comes out because Batman Returns is in the theaters. I'm like, oh, okay. And I think that's how I saw a lot of those early movies as a kid. Um,
yeah.
the other thing is, so we're pretty comic booky here too. Do you have a memorable first or early comic book that you got or read?
Corey got me more into comics. Actually, I remember that. Believe it or not, because you had a lot. You had a ton of comics. We listened to that our Nightfall. We had Nightfall in audio, didn't you? Like,
Yeah,
that
it was
yeah.
like a audio story, like this story presentation or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Like what does they call it?
Corey and I have known each other since like we were 10. I want to say maybe you were probably
Yeah,
8
I was
because you're younger than me.
no, I was 10.
Yeah,
I think I was 10.
You were
maybe,
10. I
and
was
you were-
11. Yeah. Yeah, or 11, whatever. I'm at 12. So we've known each other for a long time, longer than you guys, and we met later on. But so we would, a lot of influences we kind of shared on that. And I know Corey got me more into comics because I remember going out and getting. I remember specifically, it's probably later, but I remember getting Midnight Suns. Midnight Massacre. Sorry, Midnight Massacre. I remember getting Midnight Massacre, which was like the dark black covered comic books. I still have them. Like Punisher, Blade, Ghost Rider had their own. It was all like a series, but they were kind of crossover comics to each one. And that got me really in. I love that series. And Tales of the Jedi. I remember getting the first. I still have issue 1 of Tales of the Jedi. It's not in great shape, but I still have it.
Wow.
But because I read it.
Yeah,
So those are the big links for me.
Big comic book events. Like I remember the first one was like Maximum Carnage. That was like a crazy comic book event because of you're getting all these Spider-Man characters and all these other Marvel characters in it, and that kind of brought my like I think Luke, I have a brother whose favorite character in Marvel is Venom, and that absolutely was the reason he loved Venom.
Yeah.
Is that series.
That was his character.
back in the 90s, stuff like that.
Yeah.
For me, it was mostly just X-Men, and that was because of the cartoon show at the time.
Mhm.
I think I started around like the Jim Lee era.
That's a good time to start.
Probably the best time for a long time until
Peak X-Men.
Whedon and
Yeah.
Claremont, yeah. But yeah, I mean that shaped modern X-Men and stuff like that for a long time. The gold and blue teams and stuff like that, and that just appealed to me a lot more because you had a colorful cast of characters on all sides of the spectrums and stuff like that. And like one of my friends was into Spider-Man, so whenever I was over his house or whatever, like I'd read whatever Spider-Man But like it was fine, but like it was just like, oh, it's Spider-Man. It's like he's great and all, but I'm just like it wasn't as much of a hook as like, oh, what hijinks is Spider-Man getting into this, this month? Whereas like, with X-Men you had kind of like an ongoing drama between all the different characters and stuff like that, which was a bit more appealing to me.
Cool.
Yeah, no, and we had like where I lived, there's a school that was close by called Kubrick School, and Joe Kubrick was a huge comic book artist, and then he had two sons, and Adam Kubrick was a Wolverine X-Men artist, and I remember like I got to meet him and showed us some of his Wolverine art, and it was that definitely helped get the love of X-Men.
He was local, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I remember picking out because back, I guess in the early '90s, they had single issues like in like CVS's of comics.
Oh, yeah, you get them
if
at
you
grocery
remember
stores
that.
too. They used to have like a book section.
Oh, rack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so as a kid, I would just get. So I didn't know what I was doing. So and my parents didn't really care that I knew what was going on in the stories. So I would get a lot of single issues like in the middle of who knows what. So I had like a Ninja Turtles one that Krang randomly took over Shredder's head.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was weird.
this one was sort of one of those like hybrids between the like TV show and the more traditional Turtles comics. So I saw that there was that one. I remember a very strange. It's not strange, but a Spider-Man issue where this one I kind of want to know the story surrounding it, where Nova gets captured by these people. He's in like this weird like metal thing. Spider-Man teams up with Moon Knight, some street guy who has gone by the wayside. No one knows who he is. Um, Punisher eventually shows up, and a couple other people, and they all have this big fight with like these android enemies in like a abandoned warehouse. And I just thought that was like the most epic thing to me. Like I tried to recreate that fight like with all my action figures going forward, but I have no idea what the context of that story was, other than there was android people who were villains. And then the other one was I mentioned Wolverine 100 when we were talking about X-Men 97. That was another early one. And then I did unfortunately get a few comics into the Clone Saga as well back then of Spider-Man. I'm like, Ben Riley, what? So, but those were influential. I didn't really get Batman comics until later, which is interesting. But yeah.
I always loved DC. I had some Superman comics. I had the whole
Well, back then
Doomsday
it was like,
saga.
yeah.
That was
Well, I was
big.
about to say that was the big storyline back then. I remember, the death of Superman was huge.
Death of Superman, yep.
Stuff like that.
So the return saga. I love the Reign of the Superman. Actually, I enjoyed that quite a bit. I know people could say what you want about it, but I remember as a kid, I just absolutely loved like the Eradicator Superman. I loved that character. I thought he was awesome. I actually remember. I don't know what it was.
Don't even know who you're talking about.
Well, they had all the Superman that tried to replace.
There's
like
Reign of the
Steel
Superman, like
and Supergirl.
there was the Eradicator one with like the glasses, and he was in black and blue, and he shot like lasers out of his hands. Yeah.
Was this actually Clark Kent when he comes back? And it's in the
No,
black
that's
suit?
the blue and red like lightning Superman. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
It was
this
weird.
was like
Fucking
another
weird,
like
Mhm.
this was like another clone of him.
He
that
had a
wasn't
mullet
him.
back then.
Yeah. So yeah, but I love that. Like I used to like draw that character. I was so like love that character design. So, but yeah, I don't know. That was big for me. But all right. Anything else? We're good. We go on to the game
I
cast.
think that's it.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna wrap up
Fuck
the movie
TV
cast, folks.
shows.
Thanks. Yeah, TV
I mean,
influences.
I
can do that.
Batman, X-Men.
Yeah, I mean,
That's all we needed. Spider-Man,
yeah.
90.
We named
X-Men,
those. I mean,
Teenage Mutant Ninja
obviously,
Turtles.
yeah, those were the younger ones. Obviously, in my teen years, Angel still probably my favorite show.
I never got into that. I still couldn't get into it. I watched Buffy though. I watched all of Buffy, so I can't argue with that. I enjoyed that show quite a bit. So until the last season, but I remember that last season being very poor. You don't like that?
No, I know. I thought I agree. The last season of Buffy's pretty bad. I think.
Yeah, but yeah, Angel was. I never got into that one, but yeah, I mean, Angel was great. For me, like an older, like I was a cartoon kid. Like I had toys, like loved the toys stuff. Thundercats.
No, I mean,
Big for me.
you can't really beat
Ultron.
the X-Men and
Yeah.
and Batman, really.
But you can't. Yeah, I mean the anime that's peak. Like Spider-Man, Batman, and X-Men. All of us like.
I love the
and
Power
all
Rangers
of
when they
Rangers.
first came out. Oh, that was
Sure.
First
awesome.
season
I
of
just-
Power Rangers was
Yeah.
epic.
I hated I will tell you guys all a little fact about me. Fun fact.
Power
I
Ranger
hated
behind
the
me.
Power Rangers. Hated them when they came out. Absolutely
Really?
hated it. You know why? Because they were a rip-off of Voltron, which was a much better show in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a
And I
rip-off.
thought they were
Yeah.
a rip-off of the Ninja Turtles because I'm like, oh, teenagers, color-coded, they know martial arts. Come on.
Yeah, so I hated Power Rangers at first, but then I obviously found myself watching them later on and collecting the toys. So, all right, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Moviecast, folks. 700. Thanks for tuning in. All of these episodes are on YouTube, so you can go back and listen to, well, I think all the way back to like 200 is on YouTube, if you want to go way back. Game Pass coming up next, so stay tuned for that one. We'll see you guys over on that side. We are out.